So in this video, I want to show you some behind the scenes footage of a photo session that I had here in my living room. Now, if you're like me, I don't have access to a studio, or I don't want to spend the money for a studio unless I really needed to. A lot goes on when you do something like that, because then you really need to make sure that you're on time, that you have all the gear that you need to take with you, and that the client is there on time as well. So by me having it in my house, it's a lot easier. The client can come to the house, we can have the photo session, we can take our time, and we can produce some great results. So you'll see what I use, and I'll explain as the video goes on. I'll explain a little bit of the equipment that I'm using. I use the DJI Pocket 2 to record. However, my mic was not working, so the audio is there, but it's low, so I'll talk over it. But other than that, let's take a look. All right, so I want to start by saying this first. If you don't have a studio or have access to a studio, you just make it happen. This living room looks big, but it really isn't that big. She's probably about 10 feet away from me, a total of maybe 15 feet. There is a table behind that backdrop. So if you have the ability, you can do it. If you can't do it inside, then do it outdoors and make it happen. So as you can see there, I'm using my iPad, and I tether my camera to the iPad using Capture One for the iPad. And I love using that because the clients are able to see the image in a better quality than looking behind the camera. Even if I was on the go or on the road, I would figure out a way to tether to my iPad, and it just makes things so much easier. The backdrop that I'm using is the Savage White backdrop. That one's about 7 feet wide, and it's a paper backdrop, and I love using it because it just there's no wrinkles, and everything comes out smooth. And I'm using, if you can see there, I'm using a scrim in front of my modifier, which I'm using. It's a 36-inch glow parapop, and there's cinnamon there, a 36-inch glow parapop. And I used that because I wanted to soften the shadows. Even without that scrim there, the shadows were great, but I wanted to see if I could make it softer, and they did it. It worked out great. When you look at the images, you'll see the shadows on the full body portraits, how they're nice and soft. Now I'm using the Sigma 51.4 lens. That's the art lens, and I'm using the Sony A7 III. I've had that since it first came out back in 2018, and it's been my main workhorse. Still use it. I bought a second one, and they work great. So I love communicating with the model, and we both. The thing for me is I really like to collaborate with the models, and I will tell her to do a certain thing, and if it doesn't look right, we'll change it. And then when I take the image, we both can look at it, and if it's something that they like, then we'll stick with it. If not, then we'll just change. What I usually do when I pose them, or if I have them move a certain way, I'll look through my camera, as you can see right there, because a lot of times, for me at least, when I'm looking with my bare eyes, it looks one way, but then when I look through the camera and take the photo, it looks different. And I'm not talking about the lighting, I'm just talking about either the facial expression or just the posing looks different when I look in the camera when I take the photo. A lot of times I'll do it like that. Now I use Pinterest a lot to get posing ideas. You can use Instagram or whatever social media you want to use, or even a magazine, and that helps me to be able to find new and creative ideas. And it's nothing wrong with doing that. Yeah, hold that there. I want to see that. Now look towards the light with your head, pour your head that all the way. Yeah, there you go. Bring your chin down. Look over here. Tilt your head this way. Yeah, right there. Yeah, as you can see, we're just going through these images here, and I'll take about 3 or 4 of the same image, just so I can make sure I got something good as far as the eyes, that they're not, not blinking. I'll do one maybe smiling, not smiling, and then I'll change the pose. But if they like that pose, then we'll do a few more. I might just change the head positioning. I'll have the same pose of the body the same, but just move the head a little bit towards the light, away from the light, And yeah, and that's kind of my process of doing things. See right there, I was going to tell her to put her hand on her head, but then I stopped her and I was like, wait, you know what? I see a lot of photographers do that where they'll tell the girl to put their hand in their head, and like if they're, you know, either brushing through it, but I noticed that when they do that, the hand is always flat on the head and it just doesn't look right. It almost looks like they're trying to hold down their hair. So I just tried something different here just to see how it looked. I wasn't a huge fan. We both weren't fans of the image, so we just decided, you know what, we're not gonna do it. Anyways, we'll do one more. Turn your body all the way that way. Okay, so here I just had her move a different direction. I don't know what she was doing there. She was just doing something to make herself laugh. But that's great though, because one of the things I like doing is when they do laugh like that, and that's a laugh that's not an accident, but not really an accident. It's more of it's a real laugh. A lot of times, those type of expressions come out great, and in this case, it did come out great. But it also loosens them up when they laugh, and when they joke. Sometimes, you know, let them be a little silly, and it loosens them up a lot more, because usually in the beginning of a photo shoot, everybody's tense. Even myself, I get a little nervous because I'm like, okay, I hope this goes good. I hope I can get some good images. And then we might joke around and laugh, and the laugh is genuine, and they love it. I love it. I think it's great, and I always use them, use those photos when they laugh like that, because it is a genuine look. So here we changed the positioning. We went on the floor and we did a few poses there, and then she wanted to take a photo with Cinnamon, and Cinnamon is actually really good, surprisingly, in front of the camera. It's almost like she knows when I have the camera and she sees the flashing light, she knows that we need to stay still, because she knows she'll get a snack later on, and we did actually give her a nice little treat on that, and you can see she's excited. I don't know if she can see the picture or not, whatever, but she's excited, she's happy. And then we just decided to close this out with one other photo here. I think we were doing a couple, we did a couple photos here of her standing up. There was one where her head was a little bit behind Cinnamon's head, and it cast a shadow on her face. So I told her, I said, well, move your head up more. And I tried the same thing there, and it got better results, but there was still a bit of a shadow. Actually, stay right there, turn to rotate towards me. Right there, all that. But all in all, the photos came out great. It still came out good, and I liked it, and we used it. Yeah. I really don't have to do that. It's good. Yay! See how it came out? It still came out good. It was a little bit of a shadow, but it came out good. So this is the equipment that I used. Of course, I talked about my backdrop there. 7-foot Savage paper backdrop. Highly recommend it. This is the scrim. I think it's about 6 foot tall. And then, of course, my Glow Parapop's a 36-inch. This is the newer 600. It's like the Godox V860 Z, so it works, and I've had it for about 7-8 years. This is the extender, so the actual bulb is right there on that. And then, of course, I use a constant light. Now, I think it's at 27%. Now, the reason why I use that is because even though the newer has a modeling light on it, it times out, and it's not as strong, so it does help you focus. But I do like to have a constant light on there, so I'm using, I believe it's a Cobor 100, and I use that as a modeling light. But I also use it when I do portraits, where when I want the pupil of the eye to be really small and show a lot of color in their eye, that works perfect. Okay, so there's my Sony a7 III with the Sigma 51.4 with the flash trigger on it, and that's my Tamron 17-28. And I have my camera tethered to my iPad using just a normal USB-C cable. This is my 85. This is my workhorse for my portraits, which I did earlier, but I didn't get a chance to record. And that's pretty much it. If you guys have any questions, let me know what you think. And here's the photos.